going to do today, man? They don't want us to be educated to the reality. We have our keynote speaker tonight, and we apologize for keeping her waiting. Dr. Elaine Ferguson, one of the top MDs in the States and in the world. We are now coming to a close of our 8-week program with her, which is going to be continued because of the success. But brothers and sisters, please, tonight, in the chat room, brothers and sisters, make some noise and show the love that we have in the UK and around the world to our sister, our queen, our empress, Sister Dr. Elaine Ferguson. Make some noise, our keynote speaker. One love to you, my queen.
You know how much I love you. It's just such an, I'm trying not to get emotional, but it is such a privilege and a pleasure to say hello to my sisters and brothers on the other side of the pond and around the world. I have been so excited to meet with you again. Brother Andrew, you know how much I love you. You have truly, truly, truly been a blessing in my life. It was just a miracle to meet you through Brother Philippe, and you all have made 2021 quite a beautiful year for me. So I want to thank you always publicly for what you do, but not only for what you do, but for who you are. Because I just have to say this to those of you who haven't met Brother Andrew, what you see is what you get. He is truly a powerful, beautiful spirit. He is a brother that encompasses the best of Africa. And you all are so blessed to have him, as well as others. But I just have to acknowledge that because it's the truth. So I am excited to be here again with you.
We're excited, sister. We're excited.
And I just must say before we start, hello to my brothers and sisters who are a part of the Healing Circle.
Yes.
UK. They have, I
touch on that, sis.
If you didn't have the privilege and pleasure of being a part of it, I can't fully express to you what a profound experience it was for all of us, because we came together from across the pond around the world to support each other in a sacred space, honoring our ancestors and honoring the truth of who and what we are, as Brother Tarun so eloquently and beautifully expressed earlier. And it exceeded my expectations in so many ways. I don't have the words because it was truly a most wondrous, uplifting, powerful, evolving and unfolding healing situation where we, just by virtue of being in the space, people were healing. And it's been so profound. So we're going to continue that work and we'll share more about that later. I see people saying hello, so hello to everyone in the chat. And let me share the screen so we can.
All yours, my queen. Brothers and sisters, we're nearly touching 400 laptops, 370 at the moment. Please, the keynote speaker is about to address us. Get on the telephone. I've got to allow some people in the background to get in, but make sure you make some noise. Get onto your WhatsApp groups because the keynote speaker is about to speak. All yours, my queen.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we are going to talk today about renewing your health in 2022. And I must share that Brother Tarun's presentation, he said so many things I plan to say. I just want to say, drop the mic, and I can really close right now. I mean, honestly, it speaks to the one mind, because I always do what I'm guided to do. And my guidance was to share much similar information, complementary information, and supportive information that Brother Tarun laid the foundation for today. And so I just want to thank you, Brother Tarun, because you just set the path for me. And I'm sure those who came before me in terms of what I heard about self-love and about food, all of these elements do contribute to our health and well-being in most important ways. And now more than ever, it is just absolutely critical for us to begin to take care of our health and well-being in an even more profound way. So Brother Andrew, I want to acknowledge you again for the Wellness Weekend. It looked absolutely fabulous. And I want you to figure out a way that I can come in on Zoom, because I want to be there for the next one, okay?
So we're already planning that in the background. The next one's going to be hundreds of us in the UK coming together. So we're going to have to beam you in from Chicago.
Wonderful. I would love to do it. It looks so exciting. And I was especially happy to see so many young people, so many of our youth attending to take care of their health. Just as a brief aside, I saw a program, my husband and I watched a documentary on food, on poison food, basically on sugar, over the weekend, and it talked about in the US, and I'm sure the same thing is happening in the UK, how literally our children are being poisoned by processed foods and fast foods, and it's intentional. It's causing diseases that when I was in medical school a few decades ago, I was taught were absolutely 100% diseases of old age. And I remember about 20 years ago, I was practicing at a community health facility, and I had a teenage patient, a young man about 17, and he was feeling tired and fatigued. I really couldn't figure out what was going on with him. So I did some blood tests, and lo and behold, he had type 2 diabetes. It was the first time in my career at that point, that had already been about 20 years, of ever seeing a person under 50 with diabetes. And that was the beginning of what we now see today. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I just wanted to share that because it is so important for our children who are facing such great challenges when it comes to their health beyond what's going on with COVID, but what's planted and implanted and supplanted into our communities. So let me begin.
Can I just say, Doctor? Can I just say, yes. Dr. Elaine, please?
Yes.
You know, sometimes I just follow my spirit. Yeah, I just follow my spirit. But sister, you've just spoke for just 2-3 minutes, and I'm already just bowing to it right now. Brothers and sisters, if you're in love, and I'm going to say that word, if you're in love with Dr. Elaine and the work she's already done for us in the UK, put down in that chat room Buffalo Soldier, because that's what she is. She don't play. Tarun, keep smiling, brother Tarun. Put down in that chat room Buffalo Soldier, dreadlock Rasta. Come, my sister, teach us.
All right. Well, let us begin with Renewing Your Health 2022. And I must also say, Brother Andrew, I was so happy that we're doing it today, as Brother Tarun mentioned, on the day of the winter solstice. When I saw this, you know, nothing happens by accident. So it is such an honor and a pleasure for me to share this information with you on this day, the day of the beginning of the new year. So we're going to take a look at not only wellness practices, because wellness is a wonderful concept, but there's so much more to our health and well-being that needs to be addressed, our totality of being. And beyond this pandemic, beyond all the challenges that we face, we're going to look at what we can do beginning today to take care of our health in a way that is meaningful and in a way that is lasting. This is one of my favorite photographs I found online because it is so joyful. But not only is it joyful, it reminds me of my dad and the relationship that I had with him. So you all know this, and I don't need to repeat it, but I just want to share the importance of everyone knowing and understanding that what you do, how you live, how you take care of yourself is so much more important than relying on healthcare practitioners and complementary therapists. Even myself, you are your own best physician, because within you lies the magnificent capacity to heal anything and everything, even the results of what you've experienced, not only in terms of perhaps getting infected with this SARS-CoV-2, but also in terms of the fallout that has occurred, the emotional, the economic challenges, and for many, unfortunately, the devastation that we've experienced. Most importantly, because I've shared this information with you before. So we're going to look at things a little bit differently from a specific perspective. But I always want you to remember that within you lies an infinite capacity for health, healing, and well-being. And all you have to do is to begin to awaken it, as Brother Tarun so beautifully explained in terms of just breathing, what breathing does for your being, not only for your body, but for your mind and for the expression of your spirit as well. And today I know this is truth. Our health is our greatest wealth, because if we're not healthy, we have challenges upon challenges that are not easily managed today. This is one of my favorite quotes. I found it many years ago, and it speaks to the heart of what I want to share with you today. It said the greatest weapon against stress, which is a leading cause, as I shared with you before, or contributor to all of the chronic illnesses and even acute illnesses in terms of increasing our risk for getting infected with viruses and bacteria, et cetera. But our stress and overcoming stress is so important. We do not realize how significant it is to make a choice, to choose a different thought, just to perceive the world differently, to consider ourselves differently beyond the definitions that we've been given. William James is an American, or was an American psychologist who lived in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and was considered to be the father of American psychology. And he was very much involved in the world of spirituality and metaphysics. This is one of my favorite slides because it speaks to the power, it speaks to the truth, it speaks to the magnificence of who and what you are as a divine being having a human experience and what's possible for you. It doesn't matter what you've experienced before, but as you begin to take better care of yourself, all of these aspects of being, think about that diagram, a beautiful diagram that Brother Tarun showed us. This is just another representation of that. This is what's possible for us. This is our divine inheritance. We are created to experience optimal, vibrant, and radiant health and well-being. That's how we're created. We are not machines. We are not the reductionistic viewpoint that we are no more than our DNA. And we are so much more than our bodies. We are so much more than our minds. We are the totality of life itself. So I want you to think briefly about what is your goal? What is your personal goal for your health in 2022? And how would you like to renew it? There's so much uncertainty, as has been expressed, I heard a little bit earlier, about the challenges that we've lived through since December 2019. My mind often goes back to where I was on New Year's Eve. I was sitting in my family room watching television, and I heard a news brief about a report of 7 cases of unusual pneumonia occurring in Wuhan, China. And my inner voice said to me, there's going to be a global depression. And I said, well, that was not my intellect, that was my inner guidance. And here we are. Not only has there been a great economic depression, for lack of a better term, but there's been so many other challenges that have had a far greater impact on all of us beyond the fear and the concern and the worry of contracting this infection, which in terms of what I know as a physician, hasn't been quite as bad as it has been alleged to be. As Brother Andrew mentioned, there has been a lot of fear mongering, and had we but encouraged people to take care of their health in the beginning, to take extra vitamin D, to find ways of treating these infections early when they first occurred, we would have had a very different outcome in terms of those who succumb to this disease, because we know in general it is a disease of inflammation, and those who are inflamed for whatever reasons internally were at greater risk for developing this condition, this infection, and for succumbing to it. But the vast majority did not. The vast majority who were infected overcame it, fortunately. And yes, there are some side effects, but also there are ways to treat and to manage these the long-term impact that people just haven't been informed actually exist. So the question is, what does 2022 hold for you? Within every challenge, there's an opportunity for growth. Fear can be transformed into peace and love. It's really up to you in terms of what you choose to do and how you choose to respond. So these are some of the things I've mentioned already: COVID, the economic fallout from the pandemic, feeling isolated, as Brother Tarun spoke about. It is a great, great challenge. But one of the things that I've learned along my spiritual journey is that there is a difference. There's a significant difference between feeling isolated and being alone. From my perspective, isolation comes from a sense that's attached to our personality, to our sense of primarily identifying as a body. But as we grow spiritually and we come into the fuller awareness of our connection, not only to others and to the physicality of life, but to the totality of life, our sense of isolation and separation really dissolves, because we feel connected and we know the truth. Regardless of what's present, we're always connected. So we really don't have to feel isolated. And I want you to understand that isolation is a significant health risk factor. When it is as toxic to our physical and our emotional health as is smoking cigarettes. Most people don't know that, but there's been research conducted in the 1970s and 80s that looked specifically in communities and looked at people who had the sense of isolation, not that they were just living alone, but those who reported feeling isolated for whatever reason. And they died in much greater proportions, and as well as experienced many more illnesses. So I want to share these a few slides with you, and this is from an insurance company in the US that looks at patterns and trends. And these slides are just to show you what's happened in the United States. And I know this reflects other Western countries as well, in terms of the increased sense of anxiety, experiencing symptoms of anxiety and depression since this pandemic began in January of 2020. But this looks at what was going on from January to June, the months preceding, compared to what occurred earlier this year in terms of these rates of symptoms. And this is just another expression of those of adults and the different types of symptoms that they have experienced during this pandemic. And this looks at the age groups in terms of who is experiencing the rate of these symptoms. And you see younger adults and younger people are bearing the brunt of this burden of anxiety and depression during this pandemic. I think in part is because of the age, because they haven't had the life experiences that those of us who are on the other side of 25 and 40, of 49, let me put it like that. We're a little bit more seasoned and have learned how to take life as it comes and not to react to it as much as we did when we were younger. And this also speaks to the economic impact that in terms of those who are experiencing symptoms. Understandably, if you're economically uncertain of what your future holds, if you're losing your job, etc., then yes, it makes sense to experience more symptoms. And this just speaks to who within these households. In general, women tend to express more or to report more symptoms of depression. That's been known for many decades. So this pandemic proves to be no different. And this slide, I think this is the final slide, looks at different ethnic groups in terms of the experiences of symptoms of anxiety and depression. And surprisingly, I was surprised to find that it wasn't African Americans first, but the other ethnic groups. I don't like to say non-anything because that's not my reality. I never refer to any being as a non because they're beings. So that's my 2 cents about that. But as you see, people of color in general have experienced the brunt of this pandemic. So again, I want you to remember that the greatest weapon against stress, which manifests as anxiety, as symptoms of depression, is our ability to choose one thought over another, because oftentimes we think we don't have a choice. But as Deepak Chopra shares, the way we think, first and foremost, which affects the way we behave and the way we eat, it can influence our lives up to between 30 and 50 years. Either way, it can shorten our lives by 30 to 50 years, or it can extend them. That's how powerful our thoughts are. And that's why they matter, because as Brother Tarun talked about, for every thought that we have, not only is there an energetic response, there is also a physiologic response. We know now, when I was in medical school, when I first went on the wards, I used to see patients who seemed to be depressed. Understandably, they were sick and in the hospital and uncertain of what their disease might bring into their lives. And I remember asking one of my residents, do their emotions have anything to do with their illness? And he told me, absolutely not. And he gave me this list of the diseases that were considered at that time to be psychosomatic diseases. Well, I'm here to tell you, I didn't buy it then. I'm like, that's not what I'm seeing. And I'm really grateful that I always have had the capacity to think for myself and to honor my observations in the light of information I'm given by others. So I knew that there was more, based on my observation in medical school, to the role that emotions played and the impact our emotions had on our health. I told this, and I'll share this story with you briefly, but I had a patient, and I may have shared it with you before, but this experience confirmed for me the truth of how powerful emotions are. The long and the short of it, we had a patient who was a gentleman in his mid to late 60s. He was referred to our hospital from a community hospital. He had very unusual symptoms involving his intestinal tract, and we did an evaluation and found out that he had terminal pancreatic cancer. So I remember the day that we went into his room to tell him his wife was there. He was sitting on the bed, and my attending, who was actually the chairman of the Department of Internal Medicine, as well as my intern and my resident and another medical student, we all of us accompanied him, and he shared with the patient the unfortunate news that he had been diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer. During that time, we had no treatment whatsoever, and he was told that he probably only had a few months to live. And I remember watching him sit there hearing this information, and my sense is that he literally went into shock because he didn't respond. His wife asked a few questions, and we left the room. About half an hour or so later, I was walking past his room, and his wife saw me. She came out, she grabbed my hand, and she asked me, is my husband going to die? And I was a medical student. I didn't have a proper answer. And I said something stupid, like everybody's going to die. But I didn't know how to be compassionate in that moment, unfortunately. And it's still something I think about. But she knew my heart, I feel, and she knew I was trying to help her, but I just didn't know what to say. I went to lunch, came back, and I was walking past this room again because this room was on the main corridor that led to the nurse's station. And there was a nurse in his room changing his bed linen. And I said, well, he's not getting any more tests. Where is he? So I went in and asked her, where was he? And she said, he died. And I said, what? And she said, he died a few minutes ago while you were at lunch. So I went and found my intern, and the long and the short of it, I asked him, well, what happened? He said he probably had a heart attack. He died suddenly. I believe that diagnosis shocked him into death. I do. And he had a heart attack because he was so distressed This is the power of thought and of emotion. Just a few years ago, I ran across several studies that have been conducted in Europe, primarily in Sweden, as well as the US, looking at the impact the diagnosis of cancer has on people, and many do die from the trauma of that diagnosis and die of heart attacks. This speaks to the power of the mind in terms of its capacity to harm, but there's an even more profound capacity to heal if we but know how to harness it and allow it to express through ourselves. This speaks to something that I learned about in medical school, which is called the placebo effect, which simply speaks to the power, again, of the mind. Every new drug is tested against a placebo, meaning the patients are given, those who are tested with these new drugs are given an inert pill that has nothing in it, but they're told that this is the drug to see how the drug measures against the power of the mind, quite honestly. My professors never said it that simply because it was an inconvenience, and it was an unavoidable inconvenience in medicine because there had to be a measure. But in general, the mind is as powerful, and oftentimes, sometimes even more powerful than drugs and treatments. We know that there have actually been studies looking at fake surgeries where people are told, we're going to operate on your brain, and we're going to operate on your knee given the conditions, and they put them under anesthesia. The doctors talk about the surgery as if it was actually happening while the person is asleep or under anesthesia, and they also are given the scars. There are actually injections that occur, and the knives are used, etc. And so the patients wake up believing that they had surgery, and they actually improve just about as significantly as those who actually had the surgery. Again, this speaks to the power of the mind. So we're going to talk about a few mind-body breakthroughs and research that's gone over the years. We have, in the last 45 to 50 years, developed a new genre, if you will, a new clinical and basic approach, field of research that actually looks at the impact the mind has on the body, the heart, the immune system, etc., which was literally, when I was in medical school, considered to be taboo. And many scientists and open-minded clinicians literally risked their careers to follow their passions and to conduct the surgery that's groundbreaking and should be given much more attention and acknowledgement and integration into allopathic medicine, but for obvious reasons in terms of profit as well as paradigms and control, paradigm maintenance and control, it's not. But we have a fuller understanding in terms of the world of psychoneuroimmunology, which means mind, nervous system, and immune system, and psychoneurocardiology, which also means the mind, the nervous system, and the heart, in terms of what our thoughts, what our emotions do to the functioning of these various organ systems. There's a relatively new field of health psychology and positive psychology. When I was in medical school and college, we only looked at disease, and I kept wondering, how does the mind work? What about healthy? What about those who are healthy? And these fields have developed over the last 30, 40 years. And epigenetics, which is an exciting field that has totally disrupted the Western scientific dogma that Watson and Crick in 1953, with the discovery of DNA, have promoted, that our DNA controls everything, and it's this little dictator that everything in the cell has to bow down to and is controlled by. And that was just the imposition of Western thought and Western belief systems onto the cells, and the cells quite honestly function very differently from this notion of control. Our cells internally, as well as organ systems, as well as the body, they function cooperatively. They function together as a unit, and there's no controlling device that's located within them. Or I said something mechanical. There's no controlling part of the cellular functions or structures that maintains dominance. There's a dominion, there's a harmony, there's a cooperation that exists actually on an energetic, on a microscopic, on an atomic, as well as cellular and organ, as well as the totality of our being, mind, body, and spirit. We're designed to operate in harmony. So that is, for me, was a life. These discoveries have changed my career and changed the way I not only take care of my patients, but how I take care of my own health and well-being. So the question is, and you may have never heard this before, but this is a well-documented fact, that more heart attacks occur on Monday morning. So the question is why? The answer is very simple. People don't want to go to work, and they feel so distressed because of the challenges. And this study that I'm sharing with you was conducted in the 80s.
No, doctor. Wow. Wow. Say that again. That is deep. I had no idea of that. Say that again, please.
Yes, more heart attacks occur. Now, I have to give you an asterisk to this, because I don't know about this with COVID now, because there's been some other interesting changes going on with hearts, as you probably know. But prior to this pandemic, it is a well-known fact and documented fact that more heart attacks occur on Monday morning because people don't want to go to work. So it's the meaning of Monday morning. This is not true. This phenomenon is not true in any other animal. It's only true for humans, because other animals do have heart attacks. But it is, and this is a phenomenon that occurs, I believe, primarily in modernized, industrialized cultures, that more heart attacks occur on Monday morning than any other time of the week. Okay. And we have other heart attack risks because our heart, as Brother Tarun mentioned, is such, not only physically, but in terms of our consciousness, in terms of our emotions, our heart is such a vital and important organ. Actually, we've learned this in the last 20 years, or well, almost 30, due to research conducted in the field of psychoneurocardiology, that it is actually the heart, the heartbeat, the dump, that sets the tone, the electromagnetic tone and pace for the entire body. It actually is stronger. It's the strongest electromagnetic organism in the body. It is stronger. It entrains the brain. We used to think the brain, like our DNA, was the king. It's not. The brain is really a relay station of information. It is not the source of it. The brain expresses consciousness. The brain expresses our states of emotion and thought.
Sister Elaine, I know you're going to tell me to shut my mouth, please.
No, baby, I am not. Don't shut your mouth.
No, Sister Elaine, I'm dizzy. I'm dizzy what you're dropping right now, because, and I think, brother, I think Brother Charles can bear witness to this if he was in Brother Leon Marshall's. Those of you that was at the wellness weekend, this weekend, Leon Marshall went into this in depth, sister. But the way you're complimenting it and the way you're taking it on a medical level, this is just so brilliant, sister. Can you please just, say it one more time, please, sister?
What would you like to say? What would you like for me to say one more time, dear?
The way you just analyze the heart and the electromagnetic energy.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. I'm happy to. The heart, the beat, which our ancestors and our sisters and brothers around the world recognized through their use of the drum, is the foundation of, it's the electromagnetic, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a tuner. It sets the tone, the electromagnetic tone for the entire body. We thought it was the brain. but we know that the brain responds to the beat of the heart, not the heart responds to the brain messages. It's the opposite. So that's why the heartbeat is so important. And if, as our heart beats in a state of peace, as Brother Tarun talked about the different stages that he showed on that beautiful slide with the aura, the same is true of our physiology internally. When the heart beats normally, it has, and when we are emotionally at peace and stable and experiencing love and joy and all of those elevated emotions of power, then the heart is much more resilient. It is much more capable of managing the distress that comes at us in comparison to when it's not, when it's in another state where it's erratically, when it's erratically beating, and when we're breathing in a distressed way, when we're breathing using our rib cage muscles instead of the diaphragm, all of these signals, all of these aspects of our physiology, of our body's response, reflects the truth of what we are experiencing. Whereas Western medicine has taught us, it taught me, well, it's all in your head, meaning your brain, is cut off from the neck up, and whatever you experience in your body, that's just different. No, that's not true. Our ancestors have known since probably before the time of Kemet how the body functions as a whole, how our mind, body, spirit, and soul function as a unit. And the heart is at the center. The physical heart, as well as the energetic heart, is a significant anchor. In Kemet, it was said to be the anchor of the soul. I believe that to be true. That is my personal experience. And I don't know why this is coming, but I'm going to share it. But many years ago, I was at the dentist and I was given some nitrous oxide in the laughing gas, and the dentist left the room and she gave me too much and I was dying. I could literally feel, I was paralyzed and I could literally feel my heartbeat slowing down. And I felt my energy, and I didn't even have these words, but I felt something open and I could literally feel this anchor in my heart. And I couldn't move. And I said to myself, I am getting ready to leave planet Earth. I have to move. I have to get this mask off my face. And somehow it was the spirit, I'm sure, gave me the strength to yank the mask off my face. And that's what saved my life. But that was my experience in that moment where I felt an anchor in my heart. And I knew it was my soul was anchored to the heart, and it was about to detach from that anchor. But fortunately, I am still here to share that experience with you. So I want to talk briefly about some concepts that come out of Western medicine, but that support our understanding on a spiritual level of how we function and the qualities and characteristics that, even though they're psychological, they impact our health in a very positive way. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, because I often say, when I'm talking to my sisters and brothers about our resilience, about our hardiness, about our ancestral ability to triumph and survive, about the miracles that we are, open a dictionary, and there should be, and turn to resilience, turn to miracle, turn to triumph, and there should be pictures of millions of African people who live in this world that dehumanizes and denies the truth of who and what we are, because we have triumphed over so much that we have taken in stride and for granted in many ways. But we are, by virtue of our being, a miracle. And in addition to the miracle of our existence, I believe rests the accentuated and the extended miracle of what we have endured and survived, and despite everything, we have maintained a sense of self and purpose and being that's been transcendent, that we take for granted because this is what we do. It's a beautiful thing when we really think about what we have survived, what our ancestors have survived, what we survive on a daily basis. And I heard someone say this earlier this year, the pandemic, just in and of itself, we've lived through pandemics. I mean, we've triumphed over so much that this is kind of a piece of cake. And not to take away anything from anyone's from challenges, but I'm just putting in the perspective of the long arc of our existence as a people and what we, especially during these last 500 to 600 years, have endured, but what we have beyond those 500 to 600 years overcome in terms of the invasions of Africa that began during the time of Kemet. So when we talk about hardiness, and this is a particular term that was developed by a researcher who was doing some research, as I explained here on the slide. He was conducting research at a phone company. AT&T in the US was a phone company. Well, still is, it came back. But the long and the short of it, in the middle of his study, there was a major corporate breakup. So it was a fertile ground for conducting research because it was so distressful that there were so many managers at this corporate headquarters having heart attacks. They had a heart attack unit at the facility. But there were a group of managers who weren't having heart attacks, and they all looked the same. They were all European Americans, they were all middle-aged, and they all were making the same amount of money, so there had to be something going on internally. And what this psychologist discovered was that they had 3 characteristics that protected them from not only psychological harm, but the physical harm of having a heart attack. And he coined the term hardiness, but you have a sense of control, not the external control. That's where we get in trouble, where we're trying to control something outside of ourselves. But they had a sense of control of their response to the situation. They had a sense of challenge. They felt it was a challenge, not something to be avoided, but something to be overcome. Control, challenge, and they were committed. They were committed to overcoming it, and it changed their physiology internally. This speaks to the notion of entitlement, because entitlement is a false sense of security and a false sense of strength that really, if you go back to the Brother Tarun's slide, this shows that anger and repression, that's where entitlement comes in. Because to feel entitled is to feel separated from the truth of who and what you are. When we are empowered in the truth of who and what we are, there is a divine entitlement that is quite different from the so-called entitlement that I just call an advantage, because it's really a force, it's not a power, and it's temporary, and is predicated on the sense of superiority over someone else. And nothing divine and nothing spiritual has that same sense. So this just speaks to all that I've already shared with you about hardiness as a counterpoint to a sense of powerlessness and becoming passive and just allowing a situation to overwhelm you. Because I often say, and it's so important for me to always share this, because of our experiences, we feel that we can only react to the external, that there's this knee-jerk reaction. Well, that occurs because we weren't taught or allowed the opportunity to develop our strengths before we had these experiences, or even in the midst of them. We think we don't have a choice but to react as victims. But we do have a choice. And when we choose to respond differently, it changes our internal physiology and it makes us healthier. And this is just everything that I've already shared with you about the risks that the managers experience from the stress. And I should have also said that not only did they experience heart attacks, but the variety of chronic illnesses and reactions in terms of anxiety, depression, etc., and strokes that occur as an outcome of chronic distress. So no matter how bad things get, if we're committed, as we are, as I know many are on this call, to take care of ourselves, to respond differently, to make a choice, these choices, these decisions literally change our physiology. Not only do they change our physiology, but when we set a meaningful and lasting intention, that is literally the foundation of our transformation that we want to experience when we do that. Because you know, when you want to do something, when you make a firm and lasting commitment, it is quite different from saying, well, yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow. You know the difference, in your being acknowledges that difference in terms of how it responds to support you. Okay, so I'm going to move on through this because I have a lot more slides to share, and I know the hour is getting late, but this is what I share with you: commitment, control, and challenge. Those are the three key ingredients and aspects of experiencing hardiness. And when you think about what our people have survived, we have expressed this. We didn't know the name, but we just knew how to survive because we called our ancestors and our parents and our loved ones, always called on the strength of their being. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's talk about belief. Belief is a thought that's repeated, that's what it is, and accepted by your unconscious or subconscious mind as the truth. If we keep repeating something, it's the truth. It becomes our truth because we're informing our mind that we believe this to be true, so it is accepted as the truth, regardless as to whether or not it is a fact or not. This is how the mind works, and this is the power that we possess, and why the whole world of NLP was developed, because it's based on changing beliefs. Again, as I mentioned earlier, our thoughts are important because each thought, we know this to be true, each thought has a unique biochemical signature that causes a matching physiological response. It makes sense. That's how the divine created us, to experience what we're thinking and what we're feeling. I love to share this picture. I'm sorry it's a little out of focus, but this shows the power of thought. I've shared this with you before, but I do it now as a reminder of the power of thought. The photo on the left is a picture of water, frozen water from a polluted body of water in Japan. And the one on the right is the same water after it was blessed. And I've seen many pictures. There's a book called Message from the Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto, and he shows the power of our thoughts. Our thoughts are not only electromagnetic experiences, they are actually physiological experiences as well, and physical experiences, as these pictures demonstrate. This is a quick, I love it. I just found this recently, but this is a diagrammatic expression of our emotions. And you see the full spectrum of human emotions, from serenity to grief, from love to joy, to terror, to loathing, rage. All of these are part of us. And one of the things I do want to say about what's called negative emotions, everything has its place. So for me, I've come to understand that it's not just a matter of replacing negative thoughts for positive ones. Yes, that has its place, no question, but it's also about honoring and acknowledging whatever we experience. Because if we weren't having experience, it would, let me put it another way. The experience and the emotions come to inform us that we are either in harmony or we're out of harmony. That's what they do. So if we didn't have a mechanism of feedback emotionally, we could get into big trouble. And I'll give you a collateral example. I learned this in medical school and I was fascinated because most of us want to avoid pain, understandably, because it hurts. But pain has a function. Pain is a message to tell us something is significantly out of order within our being, either physically or emotionally. And now we know in terms of brain functioning that our emotional pain and our physical pain share similar pathways in certain parts of the brain. But there is a disease, and I learned about this in medical school, where some babies are born without pain receptors or pain nerves. And because they don't experience pain, physical pain, they visit great harm upon their bodies, because they don't, when they hurt themselves, they have no way of knowing. So they experience internal organ injury, they experience bone fractures and other types of physical injuries, and they don't know it. They only know it if other symptoms occur that indicates a significant injury. So pain has its place, and I think I said this on probably our first presentation, that I've learned to bless my pain and to thank it when it appears. Now, I'm in really good health and I don't have a lot of pain. I get aches and pains more than anything because I've been sitting around too much during COVID. I'll tell the truth on myself. So I'm actively, Brother Andrew, because I always stay on him about taking care of himself, I'm actively taking better care of myself in terms of exercising more. But when I do experience pain in my muscles, I put my hand on it if I can, and I thank it and I bless it and I talk to it and acknowledge its presence. And it always allows the pain to dissipate faster in comparison to when I'm fighting it and saying, no, not today. No, it's when we acknowledge and are authentic about whatever we're experiencing that our bodies grant us the privilege of the response of relief. Okay, this is just another diagram of our emotional, it's called the emotional spiral. And it's very similar, if you recall, to the diagram that Brother Tarun shared. I'm just so amazed as to how much we have shared that's similar in terms of our presentations. That shows, once again, how there's only one mind, and we tapped into what our brothers and sisters needed to hear today, and we complemented each other. Okay. So beyond the talks about pain and suffering and our thoughts, there's actually physiological changes that occur when we experience different states of emotions. And there is a biology when we feel hopeful. Literally, our cells become hopeful. And our physiology changes and expresses happiness. Our cells literally become happy. And when we feel love, there are chemicals, dopamine and other hormones that are released within our brains and other parts of the body that reflect our experience of love. And I mentioned earlier, when we truly set intention, our physiology changes to support the decision and the intention that we set. So I just want to talk briefly, because it's very important. Even though I said earlier that the heart is more important, the brain has its place. And one of the most significant concepts and findings, I shouldn't say concept because it's an actual fact, that has occurred within the last 30 years has been the discovery that brain cells, nerve cells within the brain, have the capacity to adapt and to regenerate. When I was in medical school, I was taught the brain, forget it. If you lose your brain cells, shame on you. They cannot be regenerated. And I remember sitting in the lecture saying, no, I know God did not do that. Why would God make such a magnificent body and then say, okay, brain, you can't regenerate? That made no sense to me at all. We have discovered through refined techniques, primarily at a microscopic level, as well as a biochemical level, that the brain has great capacity for growth and regeneration throughout our lifetimes. And we can actually grow new brain cells. We can actually, as long as we're learning, our brain is growing and evolving. So it's never too late to engage in activities and practices that helps to protect your brain, because neuroplasticity, the ability to adapt, to change, to challenges, to physical harm in terms of death of and destruction of brain cells or exposures to toxins. Neuroplasticity is an important aspect of protecting our brains from the development of dementia and Alzheimer's and experiencing strokes as well. And that's why people who have more education in general tend to have a lower incidence of Alzheimer's. It's not just a better economic status, but the fact that they continue to use their brains in different ways in comparison to those who may not have been who may not have received the education, which is not to say, and that's I'm talking about standard education, as long as you're learning in forms such as the hidden truth and others. I feel personally, and we know I am a little bit prejudiced, but I feel personally these profound forums and platforms that call to the forefront our African heritage and our African identity are extremely and exceedingly protective. So this just speaks to what I shared with you about the brain's ability to adapt. And I'll just share this quickly about neurogenesis. This is a term that means new nerve cells can be created. So you don't have to worry about losing them, because you can always regrow them and recreate if you do the right things. Okay. So I think I've covered all this, and I want to talk about epigenetics briefly. I have a few more slides to share, Brother Andrew. So, and I do have a surprise too for the end. So
blessings, sister, blessings. We're with you, sister. We're on holiday mode now, sister. So come on, just teach us, teach us.
Oh yes, yes, this is the holiday, absolutely. So epigenetics is, epi means around. So this term means around the genes. As I mentioned earlier, since Watson and Crick, who supposedly discovered, and I do say supposedly because there was a woman, Rosalind Franklin, who's only getting her just due, because she actually is the one that discovered the double helix. She was an X-ray crystallographer, and they saw her research without her permission and put their theory together with her findings. And I think she's been honored after her death that occurred in shortly a few years after they discovered, well, the world received the news that the DNA structure had been discovered. But the long and the short of it is, our genes do not control our destiny. They are a significant part of our health, no doubt, but how we live not just in terms of our physical activities, but in terms of what we're exposed to in our environment, how we live, how we experience life emotionally and spiritually, all impact our genes. And I just remembered, and I hate that I have to share this the next time when I come back, but I meant to include in this section a picture of DNA that had been blessed with love, because very open-minded researchers want to see, well, what would happen if DNA had been chemically disintegrated and placed in the presence of different emotions, very similar to the pictures of water. And in the presence of love, not only did the DNA reconnect itself, it also refined its expression. This is what's possible. So when we talk about epigenetics, as an African people, we often consider it from the notion of post-traumatic slave syndrome and other terms that's been used. And this is how my brain works, because I can't even call them because I'm so focused on the positive. Because just as there's post-traumatic stress, there is post-traumatic growth. There's been a lot of post-traumatic growth. So we have to look at it from a total perspective of not just the horror that we've experienced, but that was the horror that we have triumphed over that is encoded in our DNA. That's the truth. And I think it's incumbent upon us, and it's important for us to focus more on that which serves us, as well as to, of course, assist that which needs to be healed in terms of the ancestral memories that we carry, and the memories of our families, more recent ancestral memories. Yes, those need to be healed, but also in the context of our healing, our resilience, our hardiness, our spiritual capacity to overcome and to triumph and to express the miracles that we are also need to be considered and included. So one of the things that we know in terms of epigenetics is that when we are exposed to a toxic environment, they can turn on toxic genes, disease-causing genes. That makes sense. But in the same token, when we are in a more positive state of being, in alignment with the truth of who and what we are, that creates a protective environment on a cellular level that helps to keep the healthy genes turned on and prevents the unhealthy genes, the disease-causing genes, from turning on. This is one of my favorite slides. And if you all have heard of Dr. Bruce Lipton, he's written many books on cells and on the biology of belief. I believe that's one of his first books. But he says this quite emphatically: our genetic composition has very little influence on health, whereas the impact of chemistry within the body is far-reaching. Now, the chemistry we're talking about, he's talking about, is the chemistry of your emotions, the chemistry of your spirit, the chemistry of your soul, and the chemistry of the environment, more so than the DNA itself. He says, and I believe he's pretty active. I'm not sure if it's 95%. I think there's some variability, but he believes that 95% of our chemistry is influenced by our unconscious, our subconscious mind or unconscious mind, which goes back to belief. Remember where the belief, if we can continue to repeat thoughts, they are absorbed into our unconscious mind. So think of your beliefs as the drivers, as significant factors in terms of how your body is functioning. Dr. Lipton believes that the key to unlocking what I call radiant health and optimal well-being is in the unconscious. And if we reprogram, if we change, if we renew our thought habits that are not healthy, then we create a new chemistry where, as I talked about at the beginning, our capacity to awaken our true health potential comes forth, and the opportunity and the possibility of experiencing vibrant health and well-being, which is our birthright. Okay, let's see. This goes back to the beginning when I shared with you the new fields of research in mind-body medicine. And this speaks to what I shared about emotions, thoughts, and perceptions, and how the field of psychoneuroimmunology studies what goes on at a biochemical level. So let's briefly talk about our spirit, which I believe is really, well, not believe, I know is the foundation of our health and well-being. And it's so critical because in this Western world, we always talk about physical health, and we rarely get past the mind. We include the mind. And I'm speaking specifically in terms of how the notion of integrative medicine and holistic medicine has been incorporated into, or attempted to be incorporated into, allopathic institutions, et cetera, and how it's become more mainstream. But we don't talk about the fullness and totality. We don't talk about how our spirituality and how our divinity, which I do think are two aspects of the same thing, impacts our health. But this is key to who we are as African people. This is one of my favorite slides because it shows the truth of our connection and of our to our body, mind, and spirit, which to me this diagram expresses the soul, because sometimes we'll use soul and spirit together, but for me they're different aspects. But this is the truth of who and what you are, my sisters and brothers. You are an infinite being, and you have the capacity, regardless of what you've experienced, to awaken your true health potential as you take better care of yourself. And I believe I showed this at the beginning. This was yes, I did. And I'm bringing it back again to remind you in this moment, as we talk about our spirituality, as we speak of our divinity, this is what's possible for you, no matter what you've experienced. And it's possible because we are a people who recognize the continuity of life and our ancestors and those yet to come as a part of us who are currently embodied in physical form. Now, this is one of my favorite mantras that I have used probably for the last 8 or 9 years. I heard Maya Angelou, ancestor Maya Angelou, make this statement on many times. And I had the privilege of meeting her on a few occasions. She was absolutely like Brother Andrew, who you saw her to be in the media. And she loved Black people. She loved her people with a passion, and I could literally feel it in her presence. And she was a kind and sweet and generous soul. And I was very, very, very honored. And I still remember the times that I've been in her presence. They are quite a blessing. But this is what she imparted to me. Now, when I was in her presence, I saw her say this, I believe it's on one of Oprah's programs: I come as one, I stand as 10,000. If we can really recognize and incorporate this thought, it changes everything. Because not only is it a thought, it becomes a reality. And I have literally felt this when I call the ancestors, when I sincerely set my intention and call them, they arrive, because this is our inheritance. This is what they are here to, this is what they do for us. They come to strengthen us, to uplift us, to inspire us, and to support us. I love this picture because it reminds me of them standing as one. Now I'm going to share with you a few more slides about our spirituality and our divinity. Marimba Ani, if you don't know who she is, you need to. She is one of my most favorite sisters, who is an anthropologist and a writer. But she's so much more than that, because she has a sense of our spirituality that and expresses it in her works. She's written 2 books and a few more, but my 2 favorite books of hers is Let the Circle Be Unbroken and Yorugu, which Let the Circle Be Unbroken is about our African spirituality in the diaspora. And Yorugu is it's her opus, it's her analysis of Western civilization through African eyes. So if you haven't read it, it's a big book, but it's a long book, but it's so powerful. I urge you, as you can see from her words here, she is a powerhouse that I believe she hasn't received the acknowledgement that she should have. But she says our cultural roots are the most ancient in the world. The spiritual concepts of our ancestors gave birth to religious thought. African people believe in the oneness of the African family through sacred time, which unites the past, the present, and the future. Our ancestors live with us. Now, this ties into what I call a super healing flow state, which is, and there are many terms for it, but it's the state of being in oneness of experiencing the totality and the truth of who and what we are as divine beings embodied in human and physical form. I did this one more time. I don't think I meant to do this, but I guess the Spirit wanted me to. So here it is again, to remind you of not of what's possible, but the truth of who you are at a divine level. That's a better way to put it. And I hadn't said it before, so thank you. I'm thanking Spirit for bringing it forth again so I could share it with greater clarity. This is who and what you are at the realm of spirit and divinity. So I just want to briefly talk about super healing in this context, because this is the platform, the essential foundation that I use to share these concepts that are rooted in our history as African people, but came to me in the verbiage of contemporary 21st century English. But this is the truth. You have an amazing body, a magnificent mind, and an indomitable internal spirit that are designed to function optimally. In Western medicine, the term homeostasis describes cellular functioning, the normal functioning. I'm like, I don't like that. Stasis means static. We're not static. We are literally homeodynamic expressions of these amazing and magnificent and eternal aspects. I'll just go through these because you all, most of you, I'm sure, have heard this before, but this is essential to understand that we must include the totality, all of us, when we seek to become healthier and to renew our health. Oops. This is a slide from our program, our Rise and Thrive program, which is just another expression of how we awaken our true health potential in the context of how we heal racism, the internalized and invisible wounds that we bear and carry. When we become empowered, we transform ourselves to have the capacity in the midst of whatever the situation may be to protect, to heal, and to shield ourselves from the harm that is being visited upon us. We tend to think our experience when we are in a victim or in a physical mindset, believing that we are just this body with thoughts, that our experience equals our outcome. That's not true. The experience is really the smallest part of what our outcome can be, because the response, how you choose to respond, drives your outcome. Go back to the hardiness studies. Those men looked the same. They had the same experience, but they had different responses and different health-related and life-related outcomes. I can't see all of this because part of it's in part of my screen sharing component is in the way, but you can see what she's saying. So I'll just pick up to where I can see it. She says, you are an African because Africa is born in you. It's in your genes, in your DNA, your entire biological makeup. I would also add it's in your spiritual makeup. Whether you like it or not, that's the way it is. However, if you are to embrace this truth with open arms, my, what a wonderful thing. Yes, my sister, that is the truth. So let's talk about our African spirituality. Those who are on the healing circle, they know I love children. So whenever I see pictures of beautiful African children, I am compelled to share them. But this is our potential. This is who we were born. This is who we were born to be, who we were, and who we return, and when we return from the other side, who we become. These are Dr. Marimba Ani's words from her book, Let the Circle Be Unbroken. The modern African, in his or her being, represents the embodiment of the confrontation of two divergent worldviews, a spiritual ethos inheriting a sacred cosmic worldview, forced to adjust to a materialist society in inhumane circumstances. We must raise again the question of what happens when the spiritual ethos, which she means the collective cultural experience of a people of African origins, is entrapped, injured, abused, raped, and exploited by an oppressive materialistic society whose culture seeks to dominate them? Do they lose their integrity? Does their ethos and worldview become distorted so that they are no longer recognizable as African? Do they indeed become Europeans? Or is it possible that a legacy of powerful spiritual conceptions gives them the ability to revitalize themselves in spite of great suffering and imminent devastation? Is it possible that their souls are continually replenished into the universal life force? Yes, I say yes, it's possible. We live in the chaos of the Western world, yet through all of this, we have not become European. Even in our dehumanization, our ethos, our being is African. We are a spiritual people living in a profane society. Yes, we are. And she asked the question, which is most powerful? I suggest we are the most powerful. She says, your culture is your immune system. Yes, it is. Our culture is our external immune system. Your divinity and your awareness of your divinity is your spiritual immune system. So I want to take a moment. Brother Andrew.
Yes, we got 3 minutes left.
Okay, well, I was gonna do a meditation, but we'll say that for the next one.
Definitely. Yeah, don't need to rush that one, sister, because your meditation is world famous.
Yeah, so we will just pass on the meditation, but I want you to take a moment to see your spirits as light, because that's the truth. We come as light to bring forth the illumination of our being into this physical realm. So I want to invite those of you who aren't a part of the Healing Circle to consider joining us as we move forward into onto 2022. What we're going to, this is something I wrote over a year ago. And I found it just a few days ago. And when I read it, I said, oh my goodness, this is what the Healing Circle UK became. I had totally forgotten that I had written this. But this is the truth, as our sisters and brothers can attest to, of what we became in our sacred healing space. Our members have become inspired and empowered to effectively protect, heal, and shield their precious bodies, minds, and spirits from the toxic, health-endangering harm caused by their unavoidable and unyielding exposure to a dysfunctional culture. Not only a racist culture, because there's many aspects of domination that we know exist within our culture that represents and expresses domination and destruction. And they are on the journey. And it hasn't happened in its totality, because this is it's an unfolding and an evolving process, but they are awakening and activating the expression of their infinite capacity for healing and well-being, and exploring how to summon the courage and bravery that will help them to interrupt the automatic stress-inducing reactions and function confidently in the world, and responding to situations instead of reacting, while remaining calm and centered. I will add for Brother Tarun, breathing at peace and physiologically stable, because this will and does reduce the harm, the health endangering harm that racism visits upon us and damages our health. So what we're offering today and for the next 7 days, and this just came to me to do it this way for our members today and those who listen, is that we know that there are some members who want to continue, but have honestly shared that they can't. So we're going to make avenues available to leave no one behind, to continue this journey together. So if those of you who are already members, because are those of you who would like to become members. If you join us, you will support one member for a month. So this is basically a 2-for-1 gift. And if you have a family member you want to include, or if you want to generously allow one of our members to continue, the choice is yours. But this is our opportunity.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
this came to my heart this morning, Brother Andrew.
Wow.
But this is what we do as African people. We don't leave anyone behind.
Wow.
Yes, yes. Okay, so this is the link, and I'm going to.
Yeah, can you place that link in the chat room, sisters?
Yes, I'm going to have to stop the share, and I'll place it in the chat. And I think, let me see, I think that's it, Brother Andrew. So I think, yes, this is the end. So I made it in 3 minutes.
Wow. Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, was that not awesome? Please, please remember, man, this is one of the top MDs that we're looking at right now. And understand this, brothers and sisters, I do not pay her to do what she just done. That is coming from the heart. That is coming from the spirit of humility, love, and, commitment to the cause. Brothers and sisters, all I got to say is shut the front door. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Shut the front door. Sister, please look in the chat room. Look at the love coming in from all over the world.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you.
Come on. High wisdom. And yes, sister, we love you. We love you. I can't keep emphasizing this, sister. And please, on your next return, let's do that meditation. Let's do that, because I know from the healing circle what that has done to the brothers and sisters. They call me, they email me, they text me saying, Dr. Elaine's meditation is what killed it at the beginning, man. Well, absolutely just smashed us. They said they literally went into another dimension, sister. So, brothers and sisters, this is our holiday special. That's why we've gone over time, brothers and sisters. This is our holiday special. 4 of the top practitioners, Sister Empress, Brother Tarun, Brother Charles, and our keynote speaker, Dr. Elaine Ferguson from the United States of America. Brother Tarun, our Black Guru, is still with us. Before you, and brother, because of time, we're going to have a 5-minute breathing exercise, okay? I know that's not much, but remember, you're going to be coming back as a keynote speaker, and so we'll be able to go through that properly. But just 1 or 2 quick things. Brother Trevor, Sister Dominique is asking one answer, brother. Do you have a book? Brother
Many.
Trevor.
There's a few books that I have, which you there's a load of PDF books that I've written over the courses that I've done through the year. They're all available on my website. If you go to the website and sign up for free membership, you get a free album and free access to all the writings that I've written on the subjects through the year, basically.
Fantastic. Dr. Elaine.
Yes.
Please, after that brilliant sister, you never fail to amaze us. Yeah, you never fail to amaze us. Sister Sonia Brown, a beautiful queen. She's asked us, Dr. Ferguson, should we be using our heart over our head? And I know you went into the difference between heart and mind and whatever, okay? So that's a powerful question. Please, can you answer that in 1 minute?
1 minute, okay. Yes, you always make it so wonderfully challenging. Yes, the heart, in terms of my understanding, sister, the heart represents our innate intelligence, the intelligence that comes from the divine. And so our head represents, or is a manifestation in this culture, in particularly, of intellect. And intellect is, heart and intellect go together, but unfortunately, due to the compartmentalization, we have been taught that the intellect is one thing and emotions are to be disregarded in Western culture. Yes, that makes it a challenge to understand that they work together and they function as together. But if one is called, the heart is the higher level of intelligence. The heart reflects the intelligence, the divine wisdom and intuition that goes beyond our experiences and our understanding. That's the best way I can put it. So as you have probably heard me say, Spirit told me, I rely on my heart. I rely on that intelligence to guide me, because this can get me in trouble. You know, my thinking function I'm going to tell the truth. But when I listen to my guidance, it always, always, always serves me. It never leads you wrong. And let me just say this very quickly, and I'm grateful she raised that question. Now more than ever is the time to listen to your inner guidance and intelligence, to honor it. It can be the difference between leaving here prematurely and staying on the planet to fulfill your destiny. We have to, I mean, I've said this for years, but it has become more acute in this time because the energy of the planet is changing, and that which we did before no longer serves us or is allowable. We have to listen, because as African people, this is what we do and have done. And I want to say this one last thing. I am hearing, as Brother Tarun, across the world, Africans are saying the same thing in their own unique way. We have to go within. We have to express our spirituality, our divinity, now more than ever, because only a divine being, only and divine intelligence and understanding of the nature of the evil that we are experiencing at this particular moment in our history as a humanity can understand and overcome it. Love is the only thing that can heal these wounds that have been visited upon planet Earth.
Woo! Sister Karen says, thank you so much, Doctor, for so much information. Sister Eve said, Yvonne said, children are taught to use their intellect and ignore their emotions. Sister Maylene says, you are so brilliant, Dr. Elaine. Grateful to the spirit that's within you. I mean, blows and skirts. Sister, who's this now? Sharon Raymond says, many thanks, Sister Dr. Elaine. I would have regretted missing a single minute of your very informative and empowering presentation. I mean, sister, I mean, I can't just keep emphasizing the love that's shown on there. Sister Eve has asked a question to Sister Empress. Sister Empress, you got 1 minute, my queen. 1 minute. What do you recommend for people sick with COVID? What do you recommend? You're a lover of nature. You said let nature guide you. So Sister Eve has asked the question, what do you recommend?
Okay. I definitely feel it's important to check the entire systems of the body first and foremost, but on a general basis, because it's going to be affecting several systems at the same time. And the common ones that we need to be looking after is the circulatory and the digestive system, as well as the lungs. Then there's certain herbs that will be highly recommended. So making sure that the vitamin C, vitamin D levels are adequately high. Mullein is quite good, but not just the mullein tea, but the mullein flowers I feel is very, very effective. And I've been using that for a series of people who are suffering with symptoms such as that. But generally the lungs do respond very well when you're using things such as mullein. Just different nutrients in order to strengthen the immune system as well. Supplements also, look at what you're eating, because if your immune system's weak in the first place, it's looking for that weak link in order to put you right down. So I would highly recommend a body MOT just to get an overall spectrum of what is really going on. Rest also.
You are fantastic. Last question before, remember, brothers and sisters, we've got a 5-minute breathing exercise, free of charge from our king, our black guru, brother Tarun. Brother Charles, a question was asked to you. Please answer it in 1 minute, brother. Do you have any treatments or remedies for, I think it was fibrosis, was it? Fibrosis.
Fibrosis or fibroids? If it's fibrosis, then that's obviously, I don't really go with these fancy names. I go with what symptoms are you having? What problems are you having? And this person is most liable to be having problems with the lungs. If I'm correct, put a 1 in the chat, please. So it's maybe the lung, and it could be scarring of the lungs or something like that, tissue, hard tissue growing in the lungs. I would recommend that, you know, we scan and see exactly what is going on in the body, you know, and take it from there. There's things that you can use like turmeric tea to help with the lungs. And again, the mullein flowers, as Empress Divine mentioned, very powerful, very, very powerful. And it has a very good taste also. It's a taste that even if you don't like herbal tasting stuff, your palates will take it. You know, you have the roots, but I find the flowers to be very beneficial in these cases. So yeah, if it's fibrosis, it's most likely something on the lungs. And again, the best thing is to scan, where we can see, you know, what the frequency is there, the frequency range, and, you know, then we can give something unique to the individual, rather than a one fits all. We can look and see, okay, this is a protocol direct for you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Brother Trevor, Brother Tarun, there's so many people put that Trevor here. Brother Tarun, please, brother, we've still got nearly 340 up. Well, we've got 340 people on the platform still with laptops. We don't know the final count until after the show. Brother, please, 5 minutes, educate us in the breathing exercise.
Okay, so basically everything that you have heard tonight is being so succinct, and Sister Elaine, she really glued up the nuts and bolts.
Come on.
When she's talking about the synchronicity, the blessing of the entirety of everything that we're spoken, we're all speaking in one. The voice is one. The power is one. The vibration is one. And like I said, when we bring it to a perspective of using the breath, we go beyond language. So what we're going to do in this particular, we've only got 5 minutes, so we're going to make it short and sweet, but we're going to love this, because we are going to tap into these very essential qualities that Sister Elaine elaborated on, and so we're going to sense where that divine love emanates from within our heart. We're going to sense the fountain of joy from within. We're going to sense the heart chakra at its finest, and all we have to do is to remember to keep our minds in our hearts, keep our minds focused on where attention goes, energy flows. And when you put your mind in your heart, you complete that whole cycle, just like how you saw the diagram, and it's centered on the heart chakra. So within this exercise, what we're going to be doing, we're going to do 3 rounds of breathing. Each breath, I want, like, there's a difference in breathing. You don't want to breathe to your lungs. You want to try and capture the breath deep in your diaphragm. So you're filling your diaphragm, then your ribs, then your lungs. And you want to take a nice deep breath in, nice, strong, powerful, because the air, it's free prana. And what we're going to do is we're going to align a thought with each breath. The first time we're going to do it, we're doing 9 breaths, and then we're going to do 18 breaths, and then we're going to do 27 breaths. And each breath is loosening an ideology of being. So the first 9 breaths is going to loosen your concept of you being the body. Then the second 9 breaths is going to loosen the concept of you being the mind. And then the third concept is going to be you losing the concept of you being intellectually, or because basically your intelligence, your reasoning faculty, and your mind are still physical counterparts to what you are. You are consciousness, you are light. So the more that we can sensitize, we bring up, desensitize from these ideologies of what we're not and come closer to who we are, we will sense that. And that sensing is, you're going to feel the sense of energy that purifies, that heals, that excites, that brings about enthusiasm in being. So the first 9 breaths, we're just going to take a nice deep breath in. And we're going to breathe out. Breathe in nice and strong, let the air out gently. And then after the 9th breath, we take a deep breath in, and on the exhalation, we stop. Life happens in between breaths. And in that stopping of exhalation, we're going to sense a feeling of togetherness coming together in terms of mind, body, and soul unifying. And then after that, we go into 18 and we're going to 27. By the time we finish the last round, you're going to feel a new sense of being, a new sense of stability, a new sense of beauty. You're going to feel a new sense of a new you.
1 minute left, brother.
That loves you. Right. So let's dive straight in. Okay.
Do you breathe through your nose or your mouth?
So you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And we begin. Nice deep breath in and exhale. Deep breath in. I am spirit. And exhale. Deep breath in. I am spirit. Deep breath in all the way to the diaphragm. And exhale. Deep breath in. I am spirit. Exhale. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. 2 more. Deep breath in. Last one. Nice deep big breath in. Exhale and hold. Enjoy that stillness. Enjoy that space of peace. Relax. Keep your shoulders relaxed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in and hold. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Now we begin the round of 18. And we begin. Deep breath in. I am love. Deep breath in. I love who I am becoming. Deep breath in. I am in love with this moment. Deep breath in. I am love. Deep breath in. All the way to the diaphragm. Deep breath in. I am an expression of love. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. I am love. Deep breath in. I am love. Deep breath in. That's very good. Deep breath in. Diaphragm, ribs, then lungs. Deep breath in. Breathe in the omnipotent. Deep breath in. Breathe in the omnipresent. Deep breath in. Breathe in the omniscient. Deep breath in. Breathe in the all-loving. Deep breath in. Breathe in the all-healing. Deep breath in. Breathe in the all-new love. Deep breath in. Last one. Deep breath in. Nice deep breath. Exhale and hold. Relax into the beauty. Relax into the core of your heart. Feel the energy of the cells being enthralled with the new energy of prana. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in and hold. You are now polarizing the Shakti. You are now completing the yin-yang flow. You are now accelerating the healing process, accelerating the generation of new cells, accelerating the generation of new pathways in the neurological system. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale. And we begin our final round, 27. We'll now be unifying with the core of the heart, the bliss, the paradise within. And we begin. Deep breath in. I am consciousness. Deep breath in. I am awareness. Deep breath in. I am all that is. Deep breath in. All the way to the diaphragm. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. Diaphragm, ribs, then lungs. Deep breath in. Nice, strong, deep breath in. Deep breath in, gentle out. I am consciousness. Deep breath in. I am awareness. Deep breath in. I am all that is. Deep breath in. All the way to the diaphragm. Deep breath in. Nice, powerful breaths. Deep breath in. I am love. Deep breath in. I am a loving child. Deep breath in. I am a loving child of a loving universe. Deep breath in. I am surrounded by abundance. Deep breath in. I am surrounded by guidance. Deep breath in. I am surrounded by love. Deep breath in. I am surrounded by healing. Deep breath in. I am surrounded by my ancestors. Deep breath in. I am surrounded by divinity. Deep breath in. I am all that I am. Deep breath in. Breathe in the omnipresent. Deep breath in. Breathe in the omnipotent. Deep breath in. Breathe in the omniscient. Deep breath in. Last one. Deep breath in. Brand new you. Exhale and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in and hold. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale and hold. When you feel like taking a nice deep breath, just take a nice deep breath and return to that place of peace. Dear Divine Spirit that rests within all of us, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this moment of growth. Thank you for this moment of beauty. Thank you for the ever-loving platform. Thank you for Brother Andrew. Thank you for Sister Elaine. Thank you for Empress Divinity. Thank you for Brother Charles. Thank you for this beautiful moment. Thank you for all that we are becoming. Om Shanti Namaste.
Wow. Oh my God, brothers and sisters, over 300 plus. We went through our Black Guru. Wow, brother, I'm not even joking. I can feel my blood. I can listen to my heart. I can feel the sensation in my mind. I'm not just saying this to gas you, brother. I can feel the blood running through my veins and my body. I can hear the music within my soul. Wow. 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 Wow, brother. We love you again.
It's even a little tearful. It's a beautiful experience.
Oh,
That was powerful.
Brother Charles.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Sister
Very
Dr.
powerful.
Elaine. Was that? Oh, yeah. Pure kisses to you, brother. Absolutely powerful.
Actually,
Powerful.
a little tear to my eye. Thank you for.
Oh, brother,
sharing this.
please look at the reports.
Come on.
The chat room is on fire. The chat room is on fire. All over the world, you synchronized us as one, brother. All over the world, you synchronized us as one. Brothers and sisters.
The energy, the unified force. This is what it's about. When we unify as a collective, when we unify in breath, when we unify in love, so much things, you know, we all become a part of a big, massive battery where we all become centralized in healing. Everybody's now amplified. It's a beautiful experience. Thank you. It's
Infinite love, infinite love.
Infinite love. Brothers and
Yes.
sisters, understand that literally unlearning all the false information we have been programmed with takes time and patience. We've got this. Understand that, brothers and sisters, we have got this on lockdown. Wow, wow, wow. Brothers and sisters, can we please again, for our keynote speaker, Dr. Elaine Ferguson, MD, she took us through a journey tonight with absolute wisdom and scholarly precision. We thank you, Dr. Elaine. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. Empress Divine, from the womb of wisdom, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you, sister. You kicked off the day, and sister, you raised the bar, you raised the standards. We thank you, my queen.
Give thanks.
Give thanks every single time. And to our king, Brother Charles Ankara. Come on, big brother. You know, probably the best looking man in medicine. I don't know. That's the word on the street. I don't know, brother, but you killed the game. You absolutely killed the game, my king. Pure love to you as well. And
Gratitude to you, Brother Andrew.
no, brother, no gratitude to me, brother. You killed the game, brother. You killed the game tonight. And to the Black Guru, jeez, taking over 300 of us over the world in synchronizing the heart, body, and soul. Dr. Elaine went into that infinity sign with heart, body, or was it mind, body, and soul? You proved it in action, brother. You absolutely proved it in action. Everyone is just saying phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. Brothers and sisters, I know you've already said that this was absolutely amazing. Do not forget, next week, we've got the Nubian Jack Foundation with the Hidden Truth team, and we're going to be putting on the world's biggest live Kwanzaa event. This is next week, Tuesday. So tune in, have your family with you, brothers and sisters, and let's have a great, great, great night. This is just an amazing day, brothers and sisters. And I just want to thank you all, as we say thank you to our specialist guests tonight. What an amazing, amazing night, brothers and sisters. Don't forget, you're not black because you're cursed. You are black because you're first. Your body is infinite, and we've been introduced tonight in terms of the power of the body. So, brothers and sisters, as you know, I love this time of the year. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't celebrate Christmas, but I love this time of the year because it allows me to gel with my family, it allows me to gel with my community. And you know,